Welcome to our 5 on 5. Pleased to be welcomed again by Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, I'm going to spare you a handshake. Sick family, everybody but me.
I'm mandating the small ones get healthy.
I appreciate that. All my little ones appreciate that. So you're concerned, though. Republicans are going to be cutting Social Security and Medicare. What makes you think the GOP would do something so politically unpopular?
Well, Mitch McConnell has been on something of a whistle-stop tour here the last few days, and he's making it clear that Social Security and Medicare earned benefits are going to be on the chopping block if the Republicans control all the branches of government in 2019. And what it stems from is they borrowed close to $2 trillion for the tax bill. And the scorekeepers have said, look, you got big deficits on your hands, and rather than rolling back some of those breaks for the special interests and the powerful, instead, Mitch McConnell, and I'm amazed that he actually was that candid, he said we're putting things like Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block.
Supreme Court Judge Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation seems to have galvanized both parties. What do you think that means for voter turnout next month?
I think that this is really going to be a base election. I think both sides are going to be looking at what they have to do on the ground. I'm telling you, I was in Deschutes County a couple days ago. I was supposed to be there early in the evening. They'd already made 10,000 calls by the time I got there, so our side's really fired up.
In this time of partisan politics, speaking of, how were both sides actually able to pass some legislation tackling the opioid crisis?
Well, I think the opioid bill is going to make a difference, and of course Oregon has been hit really by an opioid wrecking ball, especially in rural Oregon with veterans. What we've tried to do is focus particularly on seniors, because that's so serious. We're going to have some new services for older people, particularly those trying to shake the addiction. And some of the choices for young people have been pretty much ridiculous in the past. You had to choose, for example, prenatal care or substance abuse care. So I think that those kinds of things are really going to pay off in Oregon.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Thanks.
We'll have much more in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5 again. We're here with Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, thousands of migrants are heading to our southern border. How should the U.S. handle this situation?
Well, first of all, the Trump administration should comply with the court orders. The courts have consistently been saying for weeks now that this administration is dragging its feet in terms of reuniting the families. When you're talking about people who are seeking asylum, that is a great American tradition in terms of protecting, those who would, for example, be at risk physically in families. And I think the Trump administration ought to follow the court orders.
How should the U.S. be handling the situation with Saudi Arabia after the apparent murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi?
I am very skeptical of the proposition that the Crown Prince didn't really know what was going on. He's very much a hands-on manager, and I'm really with Lindsey Graham. He's the Republican senator from South Carolina. I think the Saudis, if this story is in fact what we're seeing reported, are going to face some very serious sanctions.
We're still, of course, in the midst of fire season here. What are you doing right now to mitigate smoke for next year's fire season or right now?
What we're trying to do is make sure that the hazardous fuels get addressed. And the new chief of the Forest Service, at my request, Vicki Christensen, has made it a priority to deal with the backlog. This is the dead and dying material on the forest floor. It's just a magnet for fires. We still have had fires in the fall, and we've got to make sure that the Forest Service doesn't become the year-round fire service.
Would that come through legislation?
Part of it, I think, can be done administratively, and because it's my proposal, Vicki Christensen has made a point of saying that it's going to be a special priority. It's had Democratic and Republican support. I think some of it we can do administratively.
What about, the Forest Service, BLM, federal agencies like that have been criticized before for kind of a let it burn policy. Should they be more aggressive in tackling these things early before they become what we saw this summer?
There is no question that prevention is absolutely the key. That's why this new policy, as it relates to being more aggressive in cleaning up hazardous fuels, is so important. And of course, soon we'll have my fire borrowing legislation in place so that we won't be raiding the fire prevention funds. But prevention, getting there early, since we've got so much dead and dying material on the forest floor, thinning and prevention's the key.
Okay, thank you for being here. Again, I'm going to spare you the handshake, sick family, the entire group. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.